All right, quick refresher on the Montreal Canadiens. Not a full-blown preview, not a scouting report, just kind of what you need to know heading into the season. Montreal surprised people last year, no question. 40 wins, made the playoffs as the number 2 wildcard team in the East, and were easily one of the most exciting and entertaining teams in the second half. And then they flamed out in the first round against Washington, which wasn't that surprising considering they're the second youngest team in the NHL, just behind the Buffalo Sabres, and they have a roster that doesn't have a ton of playoff experience, and the Capitals, a very good team, and that's why they were chasing down the President's Trophy up until the end of the season. And for the Habs, some stats didn't really paint a great picture heading into the postseason. They had the worst goal differential out of every single playoff team at -20. They gave up a ton of goals, 261. That's bottom 10 in the league. But listen, playing hockey in April was a big unexpected step for this team, and there's no doubt that they're heading in the right direction. So what's new? Noah Dobson is what's new. That's the headline. That's a massive get on the blue line. It cost them 2 first-rounders and Emil Heineman, but Dobson is legit. Right shot power play guy, had 70 points just 2 years ago. That's Dennis Potvin territory for an Isles defenseman. Up front, they grabbed Zach Bolduc from St. Louis, 19 goals as a rookie, and sneaky good power play guy. Look at this, 7 goals on the man advantage, 1 less than rookie leaders Matvei Michkov of Philadelphia and Macklin Celebrini of the Sharks. Sammy Blais, who they signed on July 1, he'll get a shot to crack the lineup after a strong year in the American Hockey League. 40 points in 51 games for Abbotsford in their Calder-winning season. And Joe Veleno, he'll add some much-needed depth at center for the Montreal Canadiens. They also added a goaltender in Kaapo Kähkönen for some veteran backup support for Sam Montembeault and Jakub Dobish. On the way out, David Savard retires. That's a big loss for the PK and the leadership group. This guy will be missed. Christian Dvorak and Joel Armia both walk in free agency, and Heineman was a part of the Dobson deal, and just a rough ending of the season for him after that freak accident in Utah. There's no doubt this team is all about the kids, especially Ivan Demidov, number 5 pick in the 2024 draft, looked very, very comfortable in his short stint last season with Montreal. Like, how about that debut? 1 goal, 1 assist at the Bell Center against the Chicago Blackhawks. This guy is a legit player who's going to play real minutes next season for the Habs. A couple other guys to look at, Oliver Kapanen and Josh Waugh will both be in the mix for Montreal, and Owen Beck might get a cup of coffee too in the NHL. I think a lot of this season hinges on how many of these guys hit, especially Ivan Demidov. Marty St. Louis returns behind the bench for the Montreal Canadiens and is somehow the 4th longest tenured coach in the NHL. Year 5 coming up for him. And yeah, that basically tells you how fast the chairs spin when it comes to head coaches in the NHL. Their cap situation is not great. They're over it by $5.4 million, so we'll see how that shakes out. Probably means somebody gets moved before October. The Habs do have a big question mark they need to address, and that's at the second line center position. And it's open for Kirby Dach if he's healthy, but some reports suggest that he isn't, while others suggest that those reports are false. So it's going to be a wait and see situation here. Alex Newhook is the other guy probably battling for that spot. So one of these guys has to hit and take that over, or Ken Hughes has a difficult job in trying to find that player in the trade market. That is not easy to do. So no, I'm not handing out a playoff prediction in August, even though I did do that back in July. And you can click the video somewhere on the screen. I know it'll be there, but I'll be watching the Habs to see if Demidov can really hit before the Olympic break, because I think this guy's a star, and a lot of what happens this season for Montreal won't necessarily be all on his shoulders, but he'll be a big part of that offense, and he needs to hit. Also, Noah Dobson, how can he help improve this Montreal Canadiens power play that finished in the bottom half of the league? This stat tells you all you need to know about what he can do in the power play. Quietly, he's top 10 in power play points among defensemen since 2021. That's not nothing. So if you're riding with the Habs bandwagon early on, let me know in the comments below. If you're not, tell me what I'm missing.